And Senator Schumer and Minority Leader Jeffries, two good men, they've made a bunch of unreasonable demands that no person with a brain above a single-cell organism would vote for.
What happens when America's border agents, airport security, FEMA, and the Coast Guard are all at risk of being caught in a government funding fight? Senator John Kennedy didn't hold back. He accused what he called the Karen wing of the Democratic Party of pushing the country toward chaos over immigration policy. His fiery Senate speech has sparked intense debate across the political spectrum. Watch the full exchange and decide for yourself whether his criticism hits the mark.
I want to try to explain to the American people what's going on around here. Some people are going to try to tell you, American people, that what we're engaged in is a rational discussion of how to use scarce taxpayer dollars to fund the Department of Homeland Security. Now, that's not true. Wish it were. The Department of Homeland Security is about to shut down. We don't know how to get it back open. What does that mean? It means ICE will be shut down. We've got some ideas about how to keep it operating. They have enough money. It means TSA will be shut down. They're not going to be paid. That'll impact airport travel. Coast Guard be shut down. FEMA, God help us if we have a natural disaster, it'll be shut down. What's about to happen is top of the list, king of the hill, number one, stupid. And it's happening just not because of policy. It's happening because of raw gut politics. If you could see what I see, your gag reflex would be permanently triggered. Here's what's going on. The Karen wing of the Democratic Party is in control of the Democratic Party. And the Karen wing of the Democratic Party, not all Democrats, but there's clearly a Karen wing. Sometimes I call them the loon wing. They have gone to the Minority Leader Jeffries and my friend Senator Schumer and said, don't you vote for that Homeland Security bill. Why? Because the Karen wing of the Democratic Party wants to defund ICE. Now, we've seen this vampire movie before. The Karen wing of the Democratic Party also wanted us to defund the police. How'd that work out for us? The criminals are still laughing. Now they want to defund ICE. And Senator Schumer and Minority Leader Jeffries, two good men, they've made a bunch of unreasonable demands that no person with a brain above a single-cell organism would vote for. It would put handcuffs on ICE. That's just a fact. And they know that. I'm not going to vote for them. Sure not going to vote for them with a gun to my head. Now, but I'll tell you the reality. We could go to Senator Schumer and the Minority Leader in the House and say, okay, we accept every one of your conditions. The Democrats still are not going to vote to keep DHS open. I mean, I don't blame Senator Schumer for trying, but he's kind of wandering around here like one of those Roombas. He looks like a man who's lost his luggage at the airport. I mean, he's making these demands, and if we accepted them, we're not. But if we did, he couldn't deliver the votes. Because nobody on my side of the aisle wants to defund ICE. And that's what this is all about. And some of my colleagues are trying to pretty it up. Lots of play acting. They might be late, a little late for getting their name in for the Academy Awards, but maybe next year. They're trying to muddy the water, make it look deep. Like we're having this discussion about efficiencies at the Department of Homeland Security. Nope, very simple. The Karen wing of the Democratic Party has told every single Democrat, if you don't vote to shut down DHS, if you do vote to fund ICE, we will punish you politically the rest of your natural lives. That's why we're about to have a shutdown. Now, this stuff isn't complicated. Here's what I think most Americans believe. Illegal immigration, Mr. President, is illegal. Duh. If none of us are above the law, I believe that. I bet you believe that. If no one is above the law, how come people in our country illegally are above the law? Immigration statutes are not some second-tier laws that you can violate without consequence. It's the law. If you don't like it, change it. I believe in enforcing our immigration laws. Now, how you enforce them matters. By God, you better believe it matters. Those laws have got to be enforced in conformity with equal protection and with due process and in accordance with standards set forth by the United States Supreme Court. I think it was 1968 in a very famous case called Terry v. Ohio. Cop can't stop you unless that cop has reasonable suspicion, not probable cause, reasonable suspicion to believe that you have committed, are committing, or is about to commit a crime. It's not subjective. It's an objective standard. And our cops, including but not limited to our ICE officers, have to follow it. Now, you can protest. That's fine. That's your right to protest. You don't have the right to protest violently. You don't have the right to harass an ICE officer. You don't have a right to spit in his face. You don't have a right to threaten his children. You don't have a right to get his home address and go to his house and try to harass his family. You don't have the right to block the street so the ICE officer can't get through. You don't have the right to kick out a cop's tail light. You don't have the right to go burn Christmas trees. You have the right to protest. But not violently. Because you know what? Two reasons. Violence undermines the morality that you say your movement is built upon. Dr. King knew that. That's why he wanted nonviolent protest. Gandhi knew that. President Mandela knew that in South Africa. Violence undermines the morality that you say your movement is built on. Now, there's a second reason that you can't protest violently. It's against the law. And it's bone deep, down to the marrow, stupid. If you act like a butthead with a cop or an ICE officer, it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well. Here's a little tip. It's free. Cops will leave you alone unless you do illegal stuff. And that's what this debate is all about. I hope we get it worked out. I don't want to see flights stop. I don't want to see FEMA not be able to respond. I don't want to see the Coast Guard have to shut down. But the Karen wing of the Democratic Party is the cause of this.
Senator John Kennedy's speech was one of the most talked about moments in the Senate because it mixed sharp political rhetoric with a warning about what a Department of Homeland Security funding lapse could mean. During his remarks, Kennedy argued that if funding were not approved, agencies such as ICE, TSA, FEMA, and the Coast Guard could face significant operational disruptions, while many employees would be required to work without immediate pay under federal shutdown rules. Kennedy placed responsibility squarely on Democratic leadership, claiming that opposition to the funding bill was driven by disagreements over immigration enforcement, particularly ICE. He repeatedly used the phrase, Karen wing of the Democratic Party, to describe what he views as the party's activist faction. Supporters praised the speech as direct and unapologetic, while critics argued that it oversimplified a much more complex budget and immigration debate. Beyond the political attacks, Kennedy emphasized that immigration laws are still laws and should be enforced while respecting constitutional protections such as due process and equal protection. He also distinguished between peaceful protest, which he defended as a constitutional right, and violent actions against law enforcement officers, which he condemned as both illegal and counterproductive. The broader issue is that government funding fights rarely revolve around just one policy. They often become battles over multiple priorities, with each party accusing the other of refusing to compromise. In this case, Republicans argued they were trying to secure funding for immigration enforcement, while Democrats maintained they were seeking changes to immigration policies and oversight. Both sides publicly blamed the other for the possibility of a shutdown. Kennedy's speech resonated because of his unmistakable speaking style, humorous, blunt, and memorable. Whether viewers agree with his conclusions or not, his remarks generated widespread discussion about border security, immigration enforcement, and the consequences of political gridlock. The larger question remains one that Americans continue to debate: how should Congress balance border security, immigration reform, government funding, and constitutional rights? That's a conversation that extends far beyond a single speech. What do you think? Did Senator Kennedy accurately identify the source of the conflict, or is the situation more complicated than his remarks suggest? Share your perspective in the comments, keep the discussion respectful, and if you enjoy in-depth coverage of major political debates and congressional hearings, don't forget to subscribe for more.